Today, our mission is, well, to analyze a really powerful shift in a corporate story we've been tracking. We're diving into the sources around Punch TV Studios, you might know it as Punch TV, and this huge change in how they're seen after a major legal win.
That's right. For a long time, Punch TV's whole thing was being the media company for underrepresented voices. A good mission, sure.
Yeah, very admirable.
But it's also a very crowded space, isn't it? Lots of companies claim that.
Exactly. The sources really back that up. But then suddenly they get handed this narrative asset that nobody else has. Punch TV isn't just about championing underdogs anymore. Now the story is, this is the company that fought the federal government and won.
Oh, it's a complete game changer. Seriously, this isn't some marketing campaign.
No.
This is like modern myth making. It's the ultimate David versus Goliath story. Yeah. The little guy taking on the massive institution, the government, no less, and actually winning. That kind of story just instantly gives the brand this weight, this resonance that honestly you just can't buy with advertising dollars.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit, because the value here, it feels intangible, but you're saying it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
The sources keep mentioning that in today's market, everyone's pretty cynical, right, about corporate motives, and they say authenticity is the new gold.
Mm-hmm.
So why is this specific win the ultimate proof of that authenticity?
Well, because authenticity in this kind of situation, it's earned through really tough action. It's not something you just say you have.
Right.
It's forged.
When
a company is literally fighting for its survival against an opponent like the federal government, that long public fight, it cements this identity of, tenacity. It goes way beyond a mission statement. It becomes, as one source put it, baked into the DNA of the organization.
That idea of conviction is key here. This fight, reading through the sources, it wasn't just about, say, protecting assets. It really showed the leadership's belief in their original mission and, importantly, their commitment to their stockholders through it all. It proved they could handle extreme pressure.
And what's really interesting is how that translates into a practical business edge. That's where this idea of immense brand resilience pops up. Resilience isn't just, having a decent quarter after a bad one. For Punch TV, it means they have actual proof they can stay stable even under catastrophic pressure.
Can you expand on that practical advantage for our listeners who are pretty savvy? How does winning a legal battle actually help them compete in the media world day to day?
Okay, think about it like this. It fundamentally de-risks future investment in them. If Punch TV goes to big content partners now, or advertisers, or even institutional investors, they can basically say, look, we went through this incredibly complex, high-stakes fight. We won. We're still standing. That proves they have a kind of legal and operational toughness that your average startup just doesn't have. They've passed the ultimate stress test, you could say. It shows they're committed to their mission, they fought for their stockholders. It proves they're worth partnering with for the long haul.
So it shifts the conversation from can they create good shows to can they actually weather the storms the industry throws at them? And they've got a verified yes to that second question.
Precisely. They've shown they stick to their principles and their duties even when things get incredibly tough. And that builds this foundation of unwavering conviction, not just inside the company, but for everyone watching, investors, partners, everyone.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly to something that really elevates this beyond just good PR, the validation aspect. The sources really emphasize that this win isn't just a great story, it's meticulously documented and verifiable.
Yeah, and this is so critical. It turns the story from just an anecdote into, objective fact. Winning against a major federal body describes a clear validation of the company's principles. And crucially for investors, this whole fight and how it ended, it's documented publicly. Think SEC filings.
Why is that specific detail, the SEC filings, versus just, say, a press release so important for validating this narrative?
Well, SEC filings just carry enormous weight. A press release, that's marketing spin, essentially.
Sure.
An SEC filing is a legal disclosure. It's required. For sophisticated investors, the fact that you can actually track Punch TV's struggle and their eventual win through these official public documents, that's undeniable proof of transparency and accountability. They weren't hiding anything. They fought this battle out in the open within the system.
Okay, that definitely moves it beyond just hoping the company's telling the truth. It builds real conviction for the stockholders. But let me push back for a second. Doesn't the fact that they had this massive, long fight with the government in the first place suggests there might have been some serious issues initially? How do they turn that potential negative into a positive?
That's a fair question. And the narrative isn't really, we were perfect all along. It's more like, we were proven right in the end. The whole process, being investigated, fighting back, staying accountable to stockholders during that fight, and then ultimately winning it, actually puts a positive spotlight on the leadership's character. It highlights their commitment to transparency even when things get really rough. So the focus shifts from whatever the initial dispute was about to the victory itself. It shows an executive team that can and will defend the company's interests and values when it absolutely counts.
So they're basically using the pain of the whole process as proof of their commitment and integrity. That makes sense. So now they have this incredibly potent asset, this battle-tested identity. Our sources say Punch TV Studios is actively working its way back.
Yeah.
What's the plan? What does this strategic comeback look like?
Right, and this comeback isn't just happening by chance, it's very strategic. It's built on leveraging that hard-won credibility.
Yeah.
The sources point to basically three main pillars: careful strategic planning, a renewed push on creating content, and really leaning into their understanding of their core audience. They're turning that hardship into, well, horsepower,
Let's dig into the content part first. Their original mission was about those underrepresented voices. Is there a danger that this new, louder story, the we beat the government story, kind of overshadows that original mission?
It's definitely a balancing act. But the way they seem to be framing it is that the fight actually fuels the content mission. It doesn't replace it. Think about it. The tenacity they showed in court proves they're serious about standing up for the little guy, for the underrepresented. It gives their original mission more authenticity because they prove they'll fight tooth and nail for themselves. That makes their promise to fight for their audience's voices much more believable.
So the legal win acts like this huge internal proof point for their brand values.
Exactly. And that feeds into the strategic planning part. The planning now is about how to monetize that new credibility. They know their audience, an audience that probably loves an underdog win story, and they can tailor content that taps into that shared identity. It becomes symbiotic. The audience believes in the company because of the fight, so they're more likely to believe in and watch the content made by those fighters.
The sources predict an even more amazing comeback. That sounds pretty bold. What's behind that confidence beyond just having a good narrative?
Well, the confidence seems to come from the fact that their narrative gives them this unique kind of capital. They don't have to spend years slowly building trust.
It's instant.
It's pretty much instant, yeah. And their stockholder base, apparently highly supportive, really energized by this win. They're not just passive investors anymore. They're like active brand champions. That internal loyalty, combined with the external proof of their resilience, it creates this engine for growth that's really hard for competitors who are just relying on marketing to replicate.
And this is where it gets really fascinating, I think, connecting the business strategy back to the human story. This narrative resonates way beyond just a business analysis.
Well, absolutely. If you step back and look at the bigger picture, the Punch TV story taps into something really deep and universal. It's that belief in justice, the triumph of the individual against the huge impersonal system. It's fundamentally about believing in yourself, standing up for what's right, and just refusing to quit, even when everyone says you don't have a chance.
That's the archetype, right? That enduring power. They're not just selling TV shows anymore. They're selling this powerful, verifiable story of perseverance.
And that message works everywhere, not just in a boardroom. It shows that character, the kind that's forged when things get tough, can become your most defining, most valuable asset. Punch TV Studios is really showing how a truly authentic, battle-tested story can shape everything: public perception, investor confidence, long-term market value. When the underdog actually wins, people don't just notice, they tend to trust that winner more deeply.
Right. So to wrap up this deep dive for you listening, Punch TV Studios' legal victory is so valuable, not just because they won, but because it gave them this defining story. It's a verifiable narrative about being tenacious, transparent, and authentic. And that story is now the main engine driving their strategy and momentum. They went from having a noble mission to having a proven, battle-tested identity that actually has commercial power.
Exactly. And that identity, that's their biggest asset going forward. It's authenticity they earned the hard way, confirming everything they said they stood for.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to maybe chew on. If a company's toughest struggle can actually become its most compelling asset, drawing global attention and investor money, how much of business success, especially in media, is really about effectively using these moments of verifiable, character-defining hardship? It makes you wonder if overcoming institutional trauma could be the ultimate competitive advantage. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us.